friends, Jewel back with another super cool video, and I wanted to address the aspect of Mercury square to Mars. What happens when we have this in the natal chart? So Mercury is our planet of communication, our style of intake of left brain type of subject. So it's our logical thinking, it's how we file our information. It's not like the moon, which is the right brain emotional component to thinking. Mercury is our lower, how we take information in, our style of doing that, and our style of filing it, our style of communicating and talking. Jupiter is like the bigger picture to Mercury. It's what we do with that information. So Jupiter's, why it represents higher learning when Mercury represents the lower learning. So Mercury is like 0 through high school education. And then we find like 5th house education is like trades, bachelor's, sometimes master's degrees, that type of level of education. Our college education is found in the 5th, and then our higher education, master's and above, is found in the 9th, and the education that we give ourselves that expands our thinking and our world and our joy and our way of being. So there's a difference. So Mercury, being the lower mind, is it's about quickness of sorry, I have tape all over me. I've been doing projects today. It's very much about our quickness of intake, our quickness of thought. And Mars is our fighting energy, our ego energy that wants to be accepted and applauded and seen for what we do, what we get, what we bring back to the cave. So it's very much about our action-oriented ego. And so when these two are in a square aspect, that means they're challenging each other. And when these two challenge each other, they create some friction. So when we see this in a birth chart, we see somebody that's very quick and rash in communicating their ideas and thoughts. They can be very quick to defend their point of view and their side of an issue. Their ego is largely in control of their communication and is for a large part running the show. So that's why their opinions and their ideas really need to be proven, and they need to be proven quickly. And they really need to mature out of this aspect, because this one really shows up in a big way in their younger years before they realize that this is something that really needs to be worked on. So their style of communication is the problem, because how they're oriented has them very naturally communicating their ideas in a way that arouses anger or antagonism in other people. So these people can come at you like, yeah, I heard what you said, but you're wrong about that, and I'm right, and this is why, and this is what brings the reaction in other people that is often antagonistic. So, the other person's going to be like, oh, yeah? Well, let's see about that, you impudent little know-it-all. And impudence is a really good word to describe this particular square, because Mars and Mercury are both very youthful and energetic planets. And when they are daring each other or egging each other on in a square aspect, they really want to prove that they're right. These two are very impulsive when they are in conversation. So we see impulsive communication and sometimes aggressive communication when we have this particular square. So they really need to learn to see that they need to bring a certain amount of consideration or analysis as to what needs to be communicated and why. Because they need to very carefully consider what's behind it. Because if they are not, then it really ends up being the ego talking a lot for them. And so they need to develop a certain amount of mindfulness in their daily communication. And they need to slow down, and they need to consider if what they're saying is them, really, or is it the ego talking, and is it based on a sense of needing to win? Because Mars is that force within us that wants to go to battle and it wants to win the fight. It's that, that warrior within us. So are you communicating to prove or to win or to be right? Or are you communicating your thoughts that are your actual thoughts? Because we are not the ego. That is not us. We are something that is infinitely greater than that. Infinitely more powerful. So there's a certain amount of needing to mature into first understanding that this is a problem and needing to make it into a strength, because there are really good benefits to having this square when you can mature out of the difficulties and into the positives that it can offer. So when we can get a handle on how we address others, and we don't feel a need to come at others like we know they're wrong and we're already at war and we are going to win that war. Because in that's what creates the war. The other person is simply just giving their side. When we take it a certain way and then take it to the next level and we aggressively do so, they are going to respond in a way that is probably more aggressive, because it's offensive to have somebody come at you in often the way that the people with this square do. So they see reflected back to them aggression. So they're almost believing that they're seeing proven out in the world that you must behave aggressively or you must put your ideas out there aggressively because that's how the world is. That's not the way the world is. This is the perception that is creating the belief that then reinforces the belief. So you need to change your style, because people stress themselves out. They're in a really a consummate state of mental stress with this particular square, because they are so, always scanning things that are wrong or that need to be proven or where they can put their 2 cents in. And so they need to relax. They need to let others have their own thoughts. They need to stop trying to control the opinions and dealings of others so that they can feel accepted themselves. And they need to tweak their style a little bit, because the way that they're going at people is flawed. And it creates, battles. So they need to develop a plan of action. They need to develop a strategy, because Mars is strategy. Mercury is detail. These two can't really do those things well because they're arguing. So we need to break up the fight and have these guys work together by understanding, first of all, they're arguing. and it's causing us to be angry, and so we're, acting that out. Split them apart. Okay, I've got some maturity about this. I understand what's going on. Let's give you some breathing room. And then they can start working together. They can start strategizing where they didn't before. They were just pointing fingers. Now they can actually start coming up with ideas to take action on instead of ideas to take action against. So instead of firing off their cannon of a mouth, people that have the square, they learn to express their opinions in a way that has a tactic behind it, that has a way of getting their ideas across that is very smart, that is extremely effective. So they end up establishing a way of communicating that is not a challenge to others, it is persuasive, which is what they were trying to go for in the first place. Their style was just off. So in paying attention to this, they turn it from something that is really a cause of irritation to other people into something that is a strength within themselves. They become very strong communicators rather than aggressive communicators. And that's what they were going for in the first place. So hard aspects offer gifts because we have to address them. We have to work on them. We have to take action in order to make it work for us, in order to solve it. And so, hard aspects are something to be grateful for because they are not a sentence and they are not something that we should feel like we are never going to be able to recover from or get control of, or this is just the way I've got to be for the rest of my life, because that's not at all accurate. You have power over your own chart. These are your own self-imposed limitations that are listed there in sequence for you to see and rise above. And this is one that can turn somebody into the mind of a steel trap, where instead of trapping everything and fighting for that to keep that trap full and prove that it was okay to trap that stuff even though you never even had a license to trap any of it, it turns it into a trap that is discerning, traps the right things, keeps the right information, and is able to communicate that information, share that information in a way that is highly effective. So, I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please like my video and subscribe to my channel. You can find me on the internet at truthinaspectastrology.com. You can find me on Facebook at Truth in Aspect Astrology. Yes, I do private consultation. Just email for appointment. And I will be back super soon with more super cool videos. Bye-bye.